This is every page of my book, 33 pages, shrunk down to a thumbnail size. And this week, I color all of them, not to finalize the art, but to see if my color palette actually works across the entire story. Because what I learned this week was that a color can look awesome and very attractive on one page, and can also completely clash against another page when you see the whole book together. So today, I'm showing you a recap of how I chose my book color palette, what I learned from it, and what I think I can improve on my next one. Make sure you stick around to the end to see a sneak peek of one of the spreads I color for my book. Okay, so last week I was able to finalize the manuscript and I was finally able to start illustrating my book. But before I get started with creating the final illustrations, I need to create a roadmap for the final book. I need to think on where it will be the best place for the text to go and how to guide the eye of the reader and the listener throughout my book. So this week I created a rough draft of the visual script. I made a grid of all the pages of my book and then I added the illustrations that can go best with the text and advance the story. All my previous sketches I had done before were part of my brainstorming session when I was first thinking of the idea for this book. So some of the pages don't fit with the story anymore, or some will have to be redrawn into something completely different. After creating the script, I moved to color digitally. I find it easier to decide what colors to use since I'm able to quickly pivot between colors that way. I knew I needed a color palette that matched the emotion I'm trying to convey in my book, but I didn't want it to just pick random colors. So I spent this week studying how colors work in children's books. Not just what looks pretty, but what creates and communicates emotion. And that can hold throughout the entirety of the book together visually. The reason I decided the color before I moved to create the final illustration is because my sketches are in a very rough stage right now, and I can adjust the sketch to serve the final illustration. Seeing the color, it also helps me decide if I should make an area of the illustration bigger, and it also helps me determine what is really important in the illustration. So this week, while I was studying how other illustrators use colors for their books, I realized something. The best picture books don't use a lot of colors. They use a limited color palette, usually between 4 to 6 hues of colors, and they use them with intention. So the first thing I did was create an inspiration board. I decided what the main color should be. I put images that feel like my story. Just colors, textures, and feelings that make me feel the way I want the readers to feel when they open this book. My story is about a kid named Peter and his journey to overcome his fear of darkness. He wants to do this by stop using his nightlight. As he battles this fear, he attempts to stay awake throughout the night. He then dozes off, and his plush animal Goosey becomes alive, and with a loud thump and music, Peter is then led to an adventure with pirates, overcoming not just his fear of darkness, but other fears as well. So the main initial feeling should be fear, and then we will move to discovery and adventure. He will then battle his biggest fear, the darkness, and then when he comes back home, the environment needs to change. But because he defeated his fear, it will also have to show the same initial color, but transform this time. So to create this color palette with intention, and not just have it like a roller coaster or just changing colors abruptly from one page to another, I needed to see the big picture first. So we need to go from cold, warm, cold to a peaceful color. For my inspiration board, I pulled 5 colors, a dominant color, a supporting one, an accent color, and some neutral variations. Now here's the part that took the longest and taught me the most. It was creating the tiny thumbnails of every page of my book. Just rough sketches, and then I colored them all using only the color palette that I created. The goal wasn't to make them look finished, it was to see the flow, to see if the colors created a visual rhythm across the whole book. I started to notice that some pages felt too warm or too cool. Then I had to switch colors again, but then I started to feel too boring. So I adjusted one more time. I rearranged the colors to balance them out, and I started to color my pages by asking myself the emotion of the page and how can I support it with the illustration. This is why I do thumbnails, because if I started the illustration process and painting full spreads without testing the palette first, I would have gotten halfway throughout the book and realized it didn't work. This saved me weeks of work, and now I have a map to guide me on the final destination. Okay, so now that I know the palette works, I wanted to test it out on a full spread, not just a thumbnail, an actual illustration. I picked out the initial spread of the book. This is the moment where Peter is in his bedroom trying to stay awake. He hears noises that he normally doesn't hear when the house is loud with everyone awake. This spread needs to feel cold, and the reader and listener to feel worried about our character. So the main color needs to represent that feeling. So here's the final result of the illustration. This is an important step. Just seeing the book near completion shows me what the book is going to feel like and where we're heading. Seeing one of these pages of my book in color for the first time makes the book feel real. So here's what I learned this week. 1. The color isn't decoration, it's in storytelling. It's storytelling. Warm tones make you feel safe, cool tones create distance, fear, and tension. Accent colors direct the eye and create energy. 2. Limited palettes force better decisions. When you only have 5 colors to work with, you have to be intentional. You can't just throw in random colors just because you feel like it. 3. Thumbnails save me time all the time. Coloring the whole book at a thumbnail size showed me problems I never would have seen otherwise. It is tedious, but it is worth it. What I think I can do better next time on my next book is to spend a little bit more time studying colors. I need to see how other illustrators use colors to represent emotion, especially within the same topic. This was one of the most satisfying weeks of this process so far, because I'm not just sketching anymore, I'm building the visual world of this book, and it's starting to feel real. So here's where the book stands right now. The script is finalized, the characters are designed, the color palette is chosen and tested. So what's next? Next, I'm taking you behind the scenes of how I designed my characters and their world. I'm going to walk you through a small questionnaire I filled out that helped me figure out who they are, what they care about, and why their story matters. I'm going to show you how I decided what stays in the story and what needs to be cut out. Because in picture books, every word and every image has to earn its place. So that's it for this week. And now I can start illustrating this book, and I can't wait to show you my progress next week. If you're working on something creative, whether it's a book, art, or just exploring some ideas, I would like to hear about it. Drop a comment and tell me what you're building. And if you want to follow along as I finish this book, subscribe. I'm posting every week. And honestly, knowing that you're here makes this whole journey more meaningful. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week. Bye.